Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Kerala confirmed detection of bird flu at 12 epicenters. The state administrators are on full alert. Also, the bird flu is suspected in other states as well. The central government sets up a control room in New Delhi to take stock of the preventive and control measures in states. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Sri Lanka, reiterates India's commitment to its neighbourhood first policy, calls for post-COVID collaboration and reaffirms India's commitment to ensure vaccine supplies to the neighbourhood. India gets a respite from the cold wave. The Met Department says no cold wave conditions likely for the next 4 to 5 days. Also predicts moderate to intense wet spell in northwestern India. Owing to western disturbances, Delhi receives rain again with hailstorm. The WHO chief, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, expresses his disappointment with China as it imposed a last-minute ban on the team of international experts who were set to examine the origins of the COVID-19 virus in that country. Also, 10-member team was due to set off for China in early January. In the Georgia runoff for the elections, the Senate, Raphael Warnock wins the Georgia Senate seat, bringing the Democrats to within 1 seat of wresting control of the chamber from the Republicans. The Democrats need one more win in the runoff to take control. And in sports, India announces the playing 11 for the third test against Australia in Sydney tomorrow. Navdeep Saini is going to make his debut, and both teams have won 1 match each in this 4-match series. Namaskar and welcome to the news. My name is Mark Lynn. Let's begin with our top story. After confirmation of positive samples, the centre has issued avian flu alert. This is 4 states, and these states are Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh and Kerala. Now, 12 epicenters have been found in these states, and according to an advisory which has been issued, each to the states concerned, they should avoid further spread of this infection. The Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, the Government of India, has also set up a control room in New Delhi to keep watch on the situation and to take stock on a daily basis for preventive and control measures undertaken by the state authorities. The action plan on avian influenza includes strengthening the biosecurity of poultry farms, disinfection of affected areas, proper disposal of dead birds and carcasses, timely collection and the submission of samples for confirmation and other further surveillance, also intensification of surveillance plan and the general guidelines for prevention of the disease spread from affected birds to poultry and to humans after that. So coordination with the Forest Department for reporting any unusual mortality of birds was also suggested to the states. Well, Madhya Pradesh has issued a high alert, in fact, in Mandsaur district. This is with regard to the bird flu. The Chief Minister, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, held an emergency meeting, and guidelines which were issued by the government were discussed, the Government of India. Further, suitable directions were also issued to the poultry farm owners. Samples will be taken for regular testing. The testing of dead crow samples at the National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases earlier had confirmed the presence of H5N8 in some samples from Indore and Mandsaur. Nihsad Bhopal is the nodal body for testing this disease. Also, the control room has been set up in Indore in view of the same.
बर्ड फ्लू में आज ही मैंने समीक्षा की है, चिंता की जरूरत नहीं है। जो बाकी पक्षी है कौवा सहित उनमें लक्षण पाए गए, लेकिन कोई भी पोल्ट्री फार्म में अभी हमने रैंडम चेक करने के निर्देश दिए, ये बीमारी नहीं है। मैंने कलेक्टर्स को निर्देश दिए हैं कि जिले में जितने भी पोल्ट्री फार्म हैं उनके संचालकों से बात करके पूरी गाइडलाइन जारी करें।
The first case of the bird flu was reported in Rajasthan when 50 crows were found dead on December 25 in Jhalabad district of the state, after which a curfew was imposed and around 1 kilometer area in Jhalabad town. This happened on December 31. Over 50 more birds were found dead in Baran district of Rajasthan yesterday. The cause of these deaths has been speculated to be the bird flu, but the ADM of Baran district has said that the samples of the birds have been sent to Bhopal for testing and to find out the cause of their deaths.
अधिक पक्षी जिनमें कौवे, कबूतर और जैसा कि आशंका व्यक्त की जा रही है, एक जो चिड़िया है, जो जंगली चिड़िया होती है, उसकी भी मृत्यु हुई है। उसके संबंध में भोपाल लैब में सैंपल भेज दिए गए हैं और हमने जो पशुपालन विभाग की उनकी 4 टीमें पूरे जिले में गठित कर दी हैं, RRT रैपिड रिस्पॉन्स टीम, जो जाके सभी जो मुर्गी पालन की जो पशुशालाएं हैं वगैरह है, पक्षियों के जो और रहवास है, उनको चेक कर रही हैं।
And about 2,700 migratory birds have died in Pong Dam in Himachal Pradesh. The day after H5N1 was confirmed among hundreds of migratory birds there that were dead in Pong Dam Lake in Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh. The vet testing centers and the Wildlife Authority, they have been on high alert. Also, rapid response teams have been constituted. They're collecting samples of poultry from the area, which is about a radius of 10 kilometers around the lake, and it was declared a surveillance zone. The confirmation of bird flu in India was first reported among the domestic crow population in Jaipur in Rajasthan. It was followed by the Pong Dam and other water sanctuaries in the country. In Kerala, after the bird flu caused by H5N8 virus detected in 2 districts, the State Animal Husbandry Department is on full alert to contain the outbreak. The bird flu was declared a state-specific disaster, and the neighboring states like Tamil Nadu also started taking safeguards. But as per the protocol, the culling of farm birds within 1 kilometer radius of the incident, this has begun. Also, this is in the districts that have been concerned, but the rapid response teams are already deployed, and this is an urgent mission. Around 25,000 birds have already been culled, and an effort is underway to complete this mission soon. India is about to begin probably the biggest vaccination drive against COVID-19 in a couple of days from now, and ahead of this historic medical intervention, the 2 vaccine manufacturers, Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech, they issued a joint statement asserting united approach in the help against fighting this pandemic, especially from India.
The wait is over, almost. India could soon begin vaccinations against the coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it would be the biggest vaccination program of its kind in the world. Recently, 2 vaccines, Covaxin and Covishield, got emergency authorization from the government. Serum Institute of India, Pune, is behind the Covishield vaccine. It has been manufactured in partnership with Oxford University and British-Swedish company AstraZeneca, while Covaxin is a made-in-India vaccine manufactured by Bharat Biotech Hyderabad in collaboration with the Indian Council of Medical Research. On Tuesday, the 2 companies issued a joint statement communicating their pledge towards a smooth rollout of COVID-19 vaccines to India and the world. The statement reads, Mr. Adar Poonawalla and Dr. Krishna Ella, jointly on behalf of the 2 companies, today communicated their combined intent to develop, manufacture and supply the COVID-19 vaccines for India and globally. They said the more important task in front of them is saving the lives and livelihoods of populations in India and the world. Vaccines are a global public health good, and they have the power to save lives and accelerate the return to economic normalcy at the earliest. Now that 2 COVID-19 vaccines have been issued EUA, Emergency Use Authorization, in India, the focus is on manufacturing, supply and distribution such that populations that need it the most receive high quality, safe and efficacious vaccines. Both our companies are fully engaged in this activity, and consider it our duty to the nation and the world at large to ensure a smooth rollout of vaccines. Each of our companies continue their COVID-19 vaccines development activities as planned. Both companies respect the great work being carried out by each other and put behind us the miscommunication and misunderstanding caused during the past week. We are fully aware of the importance of vaccines for people and countries alike. We hereby communicate our joint pledge to provide global access for our COVID-19 vaccines. An emergency approval was given to Bharat Biotech's vaccine according to prescribed regulations. Several other potential vaccines are undergoing trials in the country. Microsoft founder Bill Gates appreciated the approval of 2 vaccines for emergency use in India. Tagging the Prime Minister's office, Gates tweeted, quote, "It's great to see India's leadership in scientific innovation and vaccine manufacturing capability as the world works to end the COVID-19 pandemic." With Nitendra Singh in New Delhi, DD India.
Well, even as the mega vaccination drive is about to begin in India next week, the country is witnessing a steady decline in COVID-19 numbers. The daily fatalities are below 300 continuously for the last 12 days. The total active caseload of 2.27 lakhs has further shrunk to 2.19%, while 71 persons have been detected with the new UK mutant. And India's present active caseload consists of just 2.19% of India's total active positive cases, that is, and the daily new recoveries recorded in the country have been more than the daily cases registered since the last 39 days. The rising recoveries have improved the recovery rate to 96.36%. The total recovered cases stand at over 99,97,000. The gap between recovered cases and the cases, the active cases, is increasing, and the fatality rate lingers on at 1.45%. The World Health Organization chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that he's very disappointed with China as it has imposed a last-minute ban on a team of international experts who were set to examine the origins of the COVID-19 virus in that country. A 10-member team had been due to set off in early January as part of a long-awaited mission to probe early cases of the coronavirus, and that was first reported about a year ago in China's Wuhan. According to the emergencies chief of the WHO, who's Mike Ryan is his name, 2 members of the international team had already set out on their journey to China. One has turned back, and the other is in transit in a third country. China has dismissed the criticism of its handling of the early cases that had emerged in late 2019, although some, including the US President Donald Trump, have questioned Beijing's actions during the outbreak. In the first high-level bilateral engagement in the new year, the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on a 3-day visit to Sri Lanka. The External Affairs Minister has reiterated that India is committed to its neighbourhood first policy. During a joint press conference with his Sri Lankan counterpart, Dinesh Gunawardene, in Colombo, he said, "Now is the time for post-COVID collaboration." He also mentioned India's commitment to ensure vaccine supplies to its neighbourhood. Jaishankar underlined the need for both the countries to work closely on shared interests and common challenges in security and maritime affairs in the region.
Our support for the reconciliation process in Sri Lanka is long-standing, as indeed for an inclusive political outlook that encourages ethnic harmony. It is in Sri Lanka's own interest that the expectations of the Tamil people for equality, justice, peace and dignity within a united Sri Lanka are fulfilled. That applies equally to the commitments made by the Sri Lankan government on meaningful devolution, including the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. The progress and prosperity of Sri Lanka will surely be advanced as a consequence.
Referring to the ethnic reconciliation process in post-LTTE Sri Lanka, the External Affairs Minister said that India will continue to support the reconciliation process. This is for an inclusive political outlook and it encourages ethnic harmony. He also said that the progress and prosperity of Sri Lanka will surely be advanced as a consequence.
Our support for the reconciliation process in Sri Lanka is long-standing, as indeed for an inclusive political outlook that encourages ethnic harmony. It is in Sri Lanka's own interest that the expectations of the Tamil people for equality, justice, peace and dignity within a united Sri Lanka are fulfilled. That applies equally to the commitments made by the Sri Lankan government on meaningful devolution, including the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. The progress and prosperity of Sri Lanka will surely be advanced as a consequence.
And the External Affairs Minister also met the Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Well, the BJP has slammed the opposition parties for spreading falsehoods over the farm laws. The BJP spokesperson said that the government is committed to the welfare of farmers and it is an article of faith. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who is the BJP spokesperson, was addressing the media at a party headquarters in New Delhi today.
Despite the fact that this politics of lies is being rejected, the opposition parties continue with that for whatever reason. The farmers who are today engaged with the government of India on their concerns on the farm bills, the government has put forth their views. As you know, it is all in public domain. The government is deeply sincere, as has been communicated by senior ministers in the government, about the welfares of the farmers. And it is an article of faith which farmers who have not, farmers in Karnataka have decisively embraced, supported and shown trust in.
Following a hailstorm in parts of Delhi NCR, the national capital and its adjoining regions continue to receive intermittent rainfall, leaving the weather gloomy. The minimum temperature at Safdarjung was recorded at 13 degrees Celsius. It's been raining in the national capital for 4 consecutive days now because of the influence of a strong western disturbance, quite unusual for this time of the year. Prior to that, around New Year, Delhi had witnessed a severe cold wave. Last Friday, in fact, the temperature had dropped to 1.1 degrees Celsius in Delhi, its lowest in 15 years. Meanwhile, the Met Department has also said that a fresh western disturbance is likely to affect the western Himalayan region from tomorrow. So from tomorrow, the IMD has predicted dense fog for 2 days. Meanwhile, there's snowfall and rains also in the hilly parts of North India, causing roadblocks, making the day quite difficult for people. Jammu and Kashmir continues to reel under a constant smell of snowfall. The Srinagar Dal Lake is frozen. The Jammu-Srinagar National Highway, that's also closed. The district Doda, which is in Jammu, is witnessing heavy snowfall, along with Kashmir, Leh, and Leh, in fact, is receiving fresh snowfall since the early hours today because it had a long dry spell in this season, and Leh and surrounding areas are receiving fresh snowfall. On the other hand, the airport authorities have pressed the snow clearance dozers into work to make Leh's runway and Kushok Bakula Rinpoche airport operational for flights. India and France will hold their annual strategic dialogue on the 7th of January 2021 at New Delhi. Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor, will lead the Indian delegation. The French delegation will be led by Emmanuel Bon, diplomatic advisor to the French president. The two sides will hold discussions on a wide range of issues, both bilateral and global. Bon will call on the Indian dignitaries. The last edition of the strategic dialogue was held in February in 2020 in Paris. Well, it's vocal for local, and the big Swadeshi drive in the paramilitary forces, as envisaged by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, gained fresh momentum with a new agreement for the supply of khadi cotton dharis to the forces. In another first, Khadi and Village Industries Commission signed an MOU with the ITBP for the supply of 1.72 lakh cotton dharis every year. This agreement was signed by the Deputy CEO of KVIC and the DIG ITBP in the presence of KVIC Chairman Vinay Kumar Saxena and the Additional Secretary Home Vivek Bhardwaj and other officials of the Central Armed Paramilitary Forces. News now from the U.S. Polls for the Senate in Georgia. The polls closed today in the morning to determine both control of the U.S. Senate and the Democrat President-elect Joe Biden's ability to push through an ambitious legislative agenda. Well, the Democrat Raphael Warnock won the Georgia Senate runoff election, bringing the Democrats within one seat of wresting control of the chamber from the Republicans. The race between the Republican Senator David Perdue and the Democrat John Ossoff hasn't been called as yet, but the Democrats need to win both these contests to take the Senate. The election day in Georgia comes a day ahead of the joint session of Congress to certify the Electoral College vote and cement President-elect Joe Biden's victory. President Donald Trump is pressuring the Vice President, Mike Pence, who actually presides over the Senate currently, to intervene in the tally. In the United States, the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has said that his state has found the first case of the more contagious UK strain of the virus, of the coronavirus. Cuomo said that a man in his 60s living in the town north of Albany has this new strain. The man has no travel history, which suggests that it's community spread. New York has carried out about 5,000 tests for the new strain so far and has only found one case. Cuomo said it could be a game changer if the new strain increases hospitalization and forces regions to close down. At least 3 other U.S. cases of the so-called UK variant have been documented since last week in Florida, California and Colorado. New York has a total of over 10,82,000 COVID-19 cases, with the death toll surging past 38,000. India has announced its playing 11 for the third test against Australia to be played in Sydney from Thursday. India handed Navdeep Saini a test debut and brought Rohit Sharma back as opener. Saini replaced the injured Umesh Yadav, and Rohit took the place of Mayank Agarwal. There were no other changes in the playing 11 that won the MCG test, levelling the series 1-1. Rohit last placed for India in the test match, that is, in November 2019, when he made the transition from the middle order to the top of the order. And his last test away from home was the Boxing Day game in Melbourne in 2018, following which he left that tour early for the birth of his child. Later next year, he came back as an opener, scoring 3 quick hundreds in 5 home test matches before injuries ruled him out of the test series in New Zealand and the first 2 matches of the ongoing series. Here's India's 11 for the Sydney test. So we can see Rohit Sharma, Shubham Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, Hanuma Vihari, Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja, Ravichandran Ashwin, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, and Navdeep Saini is the last player. Well, BCCI chief and former India captain Saurav Ganguly, who underwent angioplasty following a mild heart attack, is now stable and will be discharged from hospital on Thursday. The 48-year-old was supposed to be discharged from hospital on Wednesday, that's today, but he expressed his desire to stay there one more day. Meanwhile, many people have been standing outside the hospital to cheer him up. Ganguly was diagnosed with 3 blocked arteries on Saturday last week, following which a stent was inserted in one of them to remove the blockage. The music maestro A.R. Rahman turns 54 today, and described as the world's most prominent and prolific music director by Time magazine. Let's listen to some of his memorable melodies as we close this bulletin.
जाने मगर ये नयन एक सूरज निकला था कुछ बारा पिघला था एक आंधी आई थी जब दिल से आह निकली थी.
Been playing A.R. Rahman's 54th birthday, wishing him a very happy birthday. Thanks very much for watching. Namaskar.